Newsflash, gamers are dead. That's right, I said it. Gamers are dead. Pushing up daisies, they're 6 feet under. They are dead. Not a single gamer to be seen. Nah, I'm just kidding. Gamers are not dead. But apparently this is the Gamers Are Dead 2017 edition. Yeah. It's one of those because all those slews of articles a while back about how gamers were dead weren't bad enough. Let's go digging back into that grave of Gamergate and revitalize some things, because why the hell not? Because nobody seems to understand the real reason why Gamergate was a thing, yet they continue to keep throwing things at it like it's still somehow relevant today. But ethics in gaming and gaming journalists, getting tongue-tied here, is totally a bad thing to ever think of. Because if you do that, they're going to scream misogyny, sexist, and all that good stuff. But anyway, let's get into it. According to this, I think one of the biggest things the gaming community struggles with, communicating to the outside world, is that games, and by extension those who play them, aren't what they are imagined to be. And I don't quite understand that at all. That entire thing. I don't see how that is a struggle. You think games. You think video games. Entertainment. That's all you think about. If you're on the outside and you didn't know what it was, it's like, what's a video game? Oh, it's these things you can play. It's fun. And you get to watching it, and you're like, oh, that's fun. And it's just another form of entertainment, like watching the TV. I don't see the articles bitching about how people watch Netflix all damn day, and that's somehow bad. But anyway, part of the struggle is one of vocabulary. Games are a relatively young medium. It's younger than TV, movies, and stuff, but I don't think I would really call it young at this point, considering they've been around for 30 years. 30 plus years. I might say 30 plus years. And before we had video games, we had actual like contact games. Games you had to get out and run and play, like football, soccer. What is it, croquet? Is that a game? I think that's a game. I've heard people talk about doing that. Anyway, let's continue. It's a young medium, and their unique quirks and methods still aren't known to everyone. Well, yeah, that's true. I mean, little quirks and stuff. If you're not into gaming, you're not going to know much about it. Telling a lifelong player to be mindful of the sensitivity settings isn't really a hard step for those familiar with the practice, but has no context or frame of reference for those outside of first-person gaming. I don't understand what you mean by first-person gaming. If you're referring to like a first-person shooter, why didn't you just say FPS? Or first-person shooter gaming? If that's what we're talking about. Because if that's what we're leading into, we're just talking about FPSs, then okay. Whatever. Anyway, it's also true of things like frame-perfect links, expert jungling, getting mana screwed, pocket mercy, no mercy runs, task runs, and countless other expressions within gaming. Well, okay. For the average person, more on the periphery of games, terms like these have no real glossary, and contain very little frame of reference outside of already knowing the basics of each game. That's true. If you tell somebody, if you say you're mana screwed and somebody's walking by and has no idea what you're talking about, they don't know, say, Magic the Gathering, and you're talking about how you're getting freaking mana screwed, they walk by and go, they're not going to know what mana screwed means. It's the same thing as if you don't know how a car works or how to put one together, and you walk past a mechanic working on a car, and they say, that they're about to put in the alternator, and the person walking by who knows nothing about mechanic, doesn't know anything about cars, sits there and goes, "The hell is an alternator?" No offense, but this whole idea of because they don't know the terms, which a lot of terms actually have been carried over into texting, like LOL, laughing out loud, Rafflemo, rolling on the floor laughing my ass off, BRB, be right back, bio, and other things have carried over into text messaging language, and a lot of young people and stuff now know a lot of those terms because they started in things like MMOs and stuff, where we only had text to talk to each other, and it was a shortening of, I'll be right back because I gotta go do something, or I've got to run to the restroom, or, I'm laughing because you can't physically hear me laugh, so I'll type out LOL. So that is something that has evolved, and it's come over into texting language now. AFK, all that good stuff. But at the same time, it doesn't matter what you're doing. If somebody doesn't know anything about it, they're not going to understand it. If you're talking that is one of the struggles about gaming and people getting into it, it's the same thing as if somebody's learning how to build computers for the first time. It's going to be the same for anybody who's learning to be a mechanic, a diesel mechanic. If somebody's going into cybersecurity, if anybody's going into, learning to knit, for crying out loud. My wife knows how to knit. I have no idea. She'll watch a video on how to do something real quick, and they're using terms I have no idea what they are. I'm not going to sit there and go, why is this so hard to learn? Why don't I know these terms? Why is there not a glossary for this? And technically there is. It's called Google. You could probably type anything in Google and figure out what a task run is, or a no mercy run means, or what expert jungling actually means, depending on the game. And on top of that, it all depends on the game that you're playing. If you're talking about being an expert jungler, you're probably playing a MOBA of some sort. If you're doing bell runs, you're probably playing Diablo 2. Just saying. But anyway, the other part of the struggle is the culture itself. Yes, because our culture is toxic. Yeah, it is. I'm sorry. We know it is. It doesn't matter which game it is, there's going to be toxicity somewhere in there. It's hard to push into games from outside because there is a resistance to the concept of glossaries. No, there's not a resistance to the concept of glossaries. You just don't know how to fucking use Google, to be honest. But more potentially, those who need them. Wait, what? Okay. Anyway, things that widen games to audiences formerly in the outside of the culture read as some kind of betrayal. Those who feel passionately about games seem to want to keep them close, locked into a familiar shape with familiar communities. The culture that feels those already playing belong in the in-group, and out-groups trying to join either need to fold themselves quietly or leave. That games don't belong to anyone but those already in it. That is a bold-faced fucking lie. I am calling your bullshit from a mile away. I don't know where it is that you're at, but I have never had that experience learning a game or getting into something new. We don't have a whole lot in the way of card shops or old game shops around here, but the few that we do, and then they occasionally shut down, open back up elsewhere, but the ones we do, the people in there are quite inviting. You don't know how something is, they teach you. They show you. I have gone in because I hadn't been in the Magic the Gathering ring in years. And somebody young that I know is getting into it and wanted me to play with them because I have cards. The problem is I don't know a lot of the new rules. What did I do? I went to the damn local card shop and was like, hey guys, hadn't played this in years. Do you think you can teach me some of the new stuff? They showed me things. They taught me how stuff worked, how the new abilities were, and some of the new cards and how things worked. They didn't shun me away for not knowing. And that's always how it has been, even in my groups. When I gamed when I was younger, somebody new came in, it's like, pull up a chair, let's play, Get in here, you hit this button and this happens, hit this button, this allows you to move, and you can strive for left and right, and all this other stuff. Let's get in here, and then practice makes perfect. You lose, you're gonna lose because we're better than you, but you've gotta learn, and then we encourage people, and we add another friend to the group. That's always how it's been. So this idea that people keep it to themselves and don't want anybody else in is ludicrous. Ludicrous. But anyway, the culture is a problem, and one that manifests itself in a lot of ways. Women have a hard time pushing into gaming communities without the expectation to just tolerate the sexism already present. Minorities who speak against the overwhelming lack of representation are just called racists themselves for failing to accept that whiteness is the default, and any devotion is somehow confrontational, political, when overwhelming underrepresentation isn't fantasization of sexual femininity and toxic masculinity is the expected norm. Any push for alternative is seen as an invasion and unwanted. Honestly, about design, it reads as manipulation, and developers are pushing for get out of line or designating game in a wrong way, or designing games in wrong ways. Damn, I can't read. So apparently I didn't study enough in school, so I can't read big words. Who do? Which is funny, because I can use them, I just can't read them, apparently. But let's break this down. Women have a hard time pushing into gaming communities without expecting just to tolerate the sexism already present. There isn't sexism in games. The only time there is sexism really in games is when somebody's trying to find sexism in games. Because people love to use the excuse, or, use the whole, Bayonetta is sexist, do you see? This, and this, it's made by a sexist misogynist, and Bayonetta was made by a woman. That's one thing that nobody seems to ever want to pick up on, but they want to use that as one of their excuses as why sexism is in gaming. I don't mind looking at characters that look good. It's a fantasy. It is a video game. It's supposed to look better than real life, and we're escaping real life while we play it. I don't expect to get on Fallout, say 4, and my character to be a short, 5'9", fat, pudgy, dad belly with some facial hair and long hair, wearing glasses. I don't have to have my guy look like that just so I can feel included in the game. I want my guy to look fucking cool. He's gotta have a scar down the side of his face somewhere, like right across the eye. He looks like he's been through some stuff, war-torn, built 9-pack abs or something. That's what my guy's gotta look like as he comes in and Raiders are like, oh shit, we better run. I don't want my guy not looking like he's gonna be pushed over by a leaf. Then again, even women in gaming don't tend to really have a problem with that. It's the other women who want to be in gaming but also want to bring in their feminist lens to it, which is where the pushback is from, where you got these people who claim they're gamers but they're not really gamers, like Anita Sarkeesian, who's like, oh, I do this because I'm a gamer, and then, it turns out, I've never played a game in my life, hardly. It's like, yeah, and you're a gamer? No, you're not. You're just trying to screw with people, trying to inject all this crap that nobody wants. And as for minorities, speaking against the overwhelming lack of representation, games tend to be built based on, where they're coming from. And depending on what the story they're trying to tell. If they're set in, say, Africa, and there's a zombie apocalypse that had happened, then yeah, chances are a majority of the zombies are black. Oh, wait, that game happened. Who knew? If you're telling a story that is, more European or something, chances are a lot of the characters are white, depending on which age you're at. And when you get into the sci-fi space future things, you're probably going to have a lot of aliens too. I don't know why they don't ever check that as diversity when you've got like 15 different alien species on screen, and you got a white guy or something, suddenly, here's all white! It's like, really? They're aliens, for crying out loud. But then again, also, we're talking about past and present, and the ability and the capability of video games between then and there. Back in the day, you didn't have the space to even encode changing the color of the main character. And if you're, the entire group is in Norway or Japan or wherever, and a lot of your people are white or something like that, chances are the main character is going to be white. And that's not really a problem. The only problem that is you at that point. You are a problem. Because you're sitting there going, why does Link always white? Because that's how he was fucking designed. What does it matter? You're the only one seeing anything. It's like as bad as that guy who was going on a tangent and giving these anecdotal experiences, how he chose the Paladin in D2 because he was black, and then immediately jumped into a game online, got called a nigger, and then signed out and never played again. Which was bullshit. That didn't happen. I played a Paladin. Before the Druid became a thing, I was a Paladin for my main. Then I jumped over to Druid because Druid is so much better. You can argue that one in the comments if you want to, for anyone who's ever played D2 and want to argue which is better, the Druid or Paladin, but I will insist my Telewind Druid was better than anything. But I digress. Anyway, the fact that the skin color of the character you're playing is such a big selling point to you for whatever reason, I just don't understand it. I could care less. And I know, the second I say I could care less, you get the, well, that's because you're white and everything's white, so why would... I really don't. I care. I really don't. I played a Paladin, for crying out loud, and D2 is my main. And, it didn't bother me one bit what color his skin was. He could have been blue or pink for all I cared. A lot of people choose things based on the stats, the abilities, and things like that of a character versus whether they're white, brown, or yellow. Then again, that also can factor in depending on other things, like, say, choosing a team side or something. You might choose the color that you like most. For instance, me, I would choose green any day if that was a choice. But anyway, let's go in here. The lattermost point found its way to Twitter on a thread by developer Charles Randall. Of course, it's that thread. The thread begins talking about the fact that developers tend to be stingy with information because gaming culture is so toxic that being candid in public is dangerous. See that recent tweet thread about game design tricks to make games better, filled with gamers angry and being lied to. He goes on to say, any dev who talks candidly about the difficulties of something like that just triggers a wave of people questioning their entire resume, questioning here being an abusive euphemism for being a target of an entire faction of gamers for harassment or worse. There are still topics I can't touch because I was candid once, and it resulted in dumb headlines, misunderstandings, and harassment. Now, gamers don't get on your case when you're candid about development. And I guarantee this is a direct reference to Gamergate, a movement of ethics in gaming journalism. That purely and simple is what it was. What broke the camel's back was Zoe Quinn. Because it came out through her boyfriend that she had been sleeping with journalists to try and get her game some positive feedback. And it got mentioned a few times in some articles, being as great as Depression Quest, and so forth. Let's continue. But here's the rub of all the stuff you ever wanted to know about gaming development would be out there, if not for toxic gaming communities. We love to talk about development, the challenges we face, the problems we solve, the shortcuts we take, but it's almost never worth it. Yeah, see, the thing is, I'm pretty sure people would love to hear about it. That's the sad part is, you're sitting there thinking nobody would want to, but people would. We would love to hear what goes into a game. We love updates like that, especially when it's about your favorite game. But when you throw in scummy things and scummy practices that you're going to be doing and other stuff that you may have done, like, I don't know, slept with somebody to give them good press, and taken money from a company to add this particular thing in there or whatever, we just to throw it in our face and we can't get out of it kind of thing. That's sort of things that we will voice our opinion about. When you do something scummy and you got shit, and you start flinging it, we're going to fling it right back at you. That's just how it works. But anyway, Randall continues at length to discuss how the objection to developers being political is part of the same problem, how developers tend to be more forthcoming among each other, and how the problem like these lead to gaming communities, or lead to the gaming communities and at times press being left in the dark because of the culture that would follow it. Yeah, we don't want you to be political. I'm sorry. Keep your politics to yourself. Keep it elsewhere and be political. But don't be political in our games. When you throw the political stuff in our face, we don't want that. We're playing a game to escape real life. We don't need to listen about Trump or Hillary or anything else in our damn games or any of the other political shit that's going on at the time. Now, if it's part of the politics of said game, that's a completely different story because it actually has a basis in its story. But when it's just shoved out there for whatever reason, or, somebody uses a word you don't like during a stream, and you feel like falsely DMCAing them, and try to convince other people to do the same on a separate stream that they had, yes, we're going to take umbrage with it, and we're going to say something. That's just how it is. You're going to get it at that point. We're going to let you know about it. But we don't want you to be political in our games. How hard is that? All of these things seem to stem from the same idea. What games have been for the past 40 or so years must remain the only thing games are allowed to be. Any changes to format, mechanics, or culture should be heavily questioned, criticized, or thrown out if to advent grade. Keep costumes skinny, muscles big, breasts and butts bigger, characters white, status quo stable, and no matter what, if someone speaks out against any of it, mob them into silence. Games belong to the gamers, and anyone who doesn't toe the line clearly isn't a real gamer. Okay, this sounds a little bit more projection. Seriously. Games are games. Games have been games for the past 40 or so years. Yeah, okay, whatever. However, games have changed. Formats have changed. Mechanics have changed. It's not something that is questioned unless it's bad. If it's a step backwards from the previous incarnation of a title, then yeah, people will criticize it because it's a step backwards instead of a step forward. As for costumes skimpy and muscles big, breasts and butts bigger, and characters white, I don't think anyone cares. Nobody's really shouting, "It's gotta be white! They've gotta be white, and they've gotta have a short skirt!" Nobody really cares. Those are designs that the developers want. Whoever is crafting the story and designing the game, that is their designs. That's not the gamer's design. It's not the gamers shouting at them going, "Oh, you better put this really sexy woman in there with giant D boobs barely fitting into her shirt." No, gamers aren't doing that. That's something that a designer wants to, because unfortunately, sex sells. If you don't like it, there are plenty of games out there that don't feature any of that. Seriously, none of that. If you don't like the games that do, don't buy them. It's that simple. You don't have to invest in them. You don't have to play them. You don't have to write about them. Get somebody else to write about them. It's that simple when it comes to that. The problem this creates is that from the outside, gaming appears to be a teen dude's clubhouse that hides copies of Playboy under the furniture, invites his friends over to objectify the girls who wear the short skirts to class, believes strongly that minorities can't have realistic existences in fantasy medieval times, and oh my gosh. Oh, that's giving me a headache just reading that. Okay. No, from the outside that doesn't. It depends on really what game they're looking at. If they're looking at a mature rated game, they may see nothing but blood and gore. Then again, depending on the title, they may see somebody in something skimpy. They may see a sex scene if they're watching somebody or playing The Witcher, or something like that. But from the outside, it doesn't seem like gaming is a teen dude's clubhouse. At all. You act like things like Mario don't exist. Seriously. You know, you've got Mario, Donkey Kong, Halo, Call of Duty, Gears of War, The Witcher, Harvest Moon, Stardew Valley, Civilizations, The Sims, so many different games out there. Gone Home, Everyone's Gone to the Rapture, yay, Walking Simulator. Anyway, you've got other games out there, and not to everybody it's going to be like that. This really feels like you're just projecting like, every game I see is like this, because those are the only games I'm looking at, but I can't seem to actually look at the games I really would enjoy, kind of thing, or because I don't like it, everybody else has to not like it, because I think it's morally bad for whatever reason. Anyway, I generally great as games like Bayonetta and Lollipop Chainsaw are. There's the Bayonetta drop. We also need to accept the criticism about the sexuality built into them as valid. No one is saying these games are inherently bad, or there should be no game styles and developed in this way, but that we generally need to recognize that skimpy nuns, bikini-clad martial artists, exposed breast ninjas, and The Witcher sex scenes creates an image that games communities don't resist. Why should they? Seriously, why? That's my question right now. Why should the gaming community resist and be upset over a mature-rated game having a sex scene in it? Or a bikini-clad martial artist? Whatever feels good and gets the job done, I guess, you know? Those are design choices, again, by the developers. I know that's hard for you to understand, especially if, you know, this is a particular developer talking about this stuff. But developers make those choices, not the gamers. Bum bum bum. I know, scary, isn't it? But anyway, why should they resist? Why should they care? If they don't like it, they don't have to play it. You don't have to play Bayonetta. You don't have to play Lollipop Chainsaw. You don't have to play The Witcher. There's a million games out there for you to go play. Go play another one. It's that simple. And when parts of the community do resist, they're met with very public and vocal dissent about how they're trying to censor games, or accuse the community of uniformly being misogynistic or racist. Yeah, it's you guys who say we're misogynistic and racist, while you want to censor said games. You just said, as great as these games are, and no one is saying they're inherently bad, but we should resist them because they're inherently bad. Yes, it is. It's censorship. I can understand if you've got a game rated E for everybody, and it has adult themes in it, that maybe it's either A, the rating should be changed on it, or B, it should be censored so those adult themes aren't in it. Just saying. But that's almost never the case, and acknowledging that the culture can sometimes resemble a sex-crazed white boys club. Seriously? Back to that. Screw you. Just fuck you on that crap. Seriously, do you have nothing else that you can say at that point but everything's a white boys club? Anyway, we need to resist the apparent rules, and the culture games are above questioning sexist, racist, or adolescent design of no, we don't. We really don't. Like I said, if it's rated E for everything, and it's got adult themes in it, then yeah, question it. Say something, maybe we need to censor or change this rating, but games have ratings! That's another thing that you people seem to never understand. Games have fucking ratings. E, E10, E13, teen, mature, for 17 plus, adult only, AO. Those are ratings. And then in Europe, they have the PEGI system, like PEGI 16 and stuff. They have ratings to them. If a game is above your rating, because that's what it feels like, you should be playing E for everything everyone games, and not touching teen or mature rated games, because that is a little bit over your maturity level at this point. Things like feminist and racial critique of games are a part of the spectrum of which people who play and criticize games are and have always been. Without letting ourselves acknowledge these things as part of the natural discord of games, then it will always feel a little bit juvenile. It will always seem to people that our dramatic space operas are just sex games with blue aliens. That's a Mass Effect thing. One sex scene, and you may not get it. You've got to make the choices to get the damn thing. And it is so soft-core that I don't even think it would be considered porn, let alone softcore porn at that point. Oh my gosh. Seriously, again, don't play mature rated games, please. Just go back to the E's. Play E for everything, E10 plus. Stick to Cooking Mama, Mario, and things like that. That's the only thing you're good for. That's the only thing you should be playing. It will always appear to senators and lawyers that our violence is harmful fantasizing rather than just one of many tools in game storytelling belt. You know why it does? Because you keep pounding that it is. Gaming journalists keep pounding how, the journalists, the normie journalists, are pounding how GTA 5 is bad for everybody and teaches people to go out and shoot up schools. And then you jump on the bandwagon of telling everybody how it's sexist, misogynistic, and how it teaches toxic masculinity and crap like that. You're part of the problem at that point. But anyway, further, a longer aggressive dismemberment to anything perceived as harming games is the culturally appropriate level-headed response, the longer even game developers will find this community toxic. Even from within, the rhetoric of war pervades disagreement more than actual discourse does. Game culture has an aggression problem, and it's time to own up to it. Alright, if we're back to multiplayer games, yeah, we get aggressive with it. That's just how it is. I've seen people who have watched boxing matches get aggressive at the TV during a boxing match. No different. Dispelling the toxicity does mean taking a hard look in the mirror and honestly admitting that the toxic things that happen, even with the best intentions, are damaging. What? How can you be toxic with the best intentions? Anyway, that is the basics of the harmful gamer label. What the rest of the world has initialized over years of booth babies, booth babies. What the hell is a booth baby? Like, seriously, somebody tell me what a booth baby is. Anyway, anime waifu boob mouse pads, undressed heroines, white-only heroines, and... Really? And violent revelry does not make our community look like the mature medium games have largely become over the years. As long as the community keeps throwing very public, very aggressive tantrums to anyone pointing this out, though, it will keep looking this way. Yeah, because you keep trying to censor it. We don't want our games censored. It's that simple. Don't censor our games. Don't come crying about the game because you don't like what she's wearing or whatever. But we're talking about journalists who sit there and will write a whole article about how Bayonetta is bad because she's the way she's dressed and how she looks. But at the same time, we'll publish an article talking about how Ryu is the most gorgeous thing they have ever seen with his, 8-pack, 10-pack abs, whatever abs he's got, and his shirt undone and all this other stuff, and praising that. But then get upset because a woman's doing the same damn thing in a game. And that is what people get onto. The hypocrisy with that. It's like, this isn't okay, but this is because it's a dude. As for the white only, the only reason anybody even says anything about why are you making a fuss about it is because nobody cares. We've had characters in games who have not been white in the past, and people still played it and had a good time with it. That's still a game design thing that the designers chose to do, which might have something to do with, I don't know, where they freaking live. But anyway, as Leigh Alexander has already said, gamers are over. The worst aspect of gamer image needs to be universally examined and changed. Those challenges need to be accepted as part of a culture. The parts of the gaming community that encourages furious dissent aren't being evaluated enough, and that keeping communities at the most angry. These cultures need to start finding an image it never fully earned, but still has. That image is holding gamers to an image that has been in the deathbed for years that needs to formally be buried. Games have already changed, and it will continue to change, and hold on to an aggressive, centric culture isn't helping. Alright. Yeah. The gamer image continues to persist as basement-dwelling, living at home, drinking Mountain Dew and eating chips. Why? Because that is how people like gaming journalists keep describing us, and how normies in journalism describe us. To be honest, we gamers don't give two shits. If people want to sit there and think I live in my parents' basement, then so fucking what? I don't. I live with my wife and kids in our house. But that doesn't matter what other people want to perceive. And when they are talking about people like that, chances are they are talking about those 12 and 13, 14, 15-year-olds who really are living with their parents because they're still minors. And they're playing a mature-rated game. Because parents these days don't know how to not let kids play games outside their ratings. But that is totally up to the parents at that point. My kids don't play Fallout. They play Mario Kart. They play whatever else we own for the Wii U and Wii. Which are other games that I can't think of at the top of my head because I don't really play them. But anyway, they play those because they're their age bracket. I don't let them pop in Fallout. I don't let them pop in Grand Theft Auto or Saints Row or anything like that because that is above their age level. They're not mature enough to be playing something like that. And I understand there are some kids who are. I was playing mature-rated games before I was of age to play that. But that really depends on the kid and the parent at that point. But anyway, gamers are dead. They're really not. The image of gamers aren't dead either, because you keep portraying us like that. And we're going to continue to criticize you every time you do something scummy and spout bullshit. If you all could stop projecting for 2 seconds and actually do your damn jobs, we wouldn't have to sit here and complain and whine and bitch and yell at you over Twitter or whatever. You've got the guy from Firewatch wanting to DMCA PewDiePie for what he did. So guess what a lot of gamers did? They jumped on the Firewatch forums and yelled nigger on everything. Why? Because he took umbrage with it to the point that he was going to try and destroy somebody's livelihood and tried to actively encourage other people to destroy their livelihood. And we don't take kindly to things like that. It's that simple. Would you want somebody coming into your workplace or coming at you and trying to destroy your livelihood? We may criticize you, but we don't go on this giant tirade to try and destroy you. Although we may boycott you, that might destroy you, I don't know. But, we don't sit there and encourage other people to contact your work to try and get you fired. That's something out of y'all's playbook that you will do to other people because you don't like the words that they use. Or something like that. You don't like their politics. Their politics are none of your damn business. They enjoy playing your game. Let them play the game. Don't sit there and try and police our communities. We can do that on our own. We can handle our own communities. You want to come in and start spouting all this extra rhetoric that we don't care about? We're going to kick you out. That's just how it is. You sit there and say you want to get into our gaming community, you really want to play, D3 or whatever, and then every game you get into, you're just like, why don't I have a yellow character? I'm Asian. I really want me a character who looks like me. Why isn't there one in here? People are going to start booting you out of games if that's all you're talking about, because they're there for the game, not to listen to your politics. That's how it works. We're there to play a game and be entertained and go and get further into the game. We're not there to talk politics. We don't care about your race. We don't care about your sexuality. We don't give two shits whether you're male or female. Although if you're female, I'm sure a lot of people are going to try and hit on you because that's having a woman in a game just isn't something that's that common still. And, finding a woman who enjoys your hobby is rare when your hobby is gaming. So, a lot of guys are going to try and, get to know you at that point. But other than that, it's not really sexism. It's not misogynistic. It's not racist. But if you're going to come in with that, it constantly points, why does she have to have such big breasts? I don't want to play that character because she's got these huge breasts, and I don't want anybody else to play her either. We're going to tell you where the door is. Nobody cares. If you're going to sit there and pick apart superficial things like what they look like and what they're wearing, there's the door. Gamers aren't dead. Gaming journalism, on the other hand, does kind of feel like it's on its last foot. Maybe it will bounce back. Maybe. But it seems like the rise of things like YouTube and Twitch kind of kicking their tail at this point, because then those people seem to be doing a better job than you. That's about all I got to say about this. I'll talk to y'all later. See ya. Hey, thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave a comment, smash that like button, and always subscribe for more. And of course there are other videos floating around somewhere on the screen, so click one of those and see if you can find something that suits your fancy. Till then, I'll see you later. Bye.